Okay, so we discussed the shot sizes. We talked also about camera angles. Now it's time to talk about camera movements. So the camera can be fixed on a tripod or mobile. Why would we choose a static camera? To present things in a neutral manner, to get an overall perspective on things. You can have a static camera in every shot size, so no matter how wide or how close you shoot. But the camera can also be moving. The first movement that I want to discuss with you is the panning. Panning is where the camera is placed on a tripod at a fixed point. You don't move this point, but you can move the camera on this tripod from left to right, from right to left. Yes. This kind of camera movement has a descriptive role. Yes, like presenting a location, a scenery, following a car passing by. It can follow a movement. Yes, the panning can be fast or slow, almost unnoticeable. You get the impression of seeing what the character is seeing, of moving along with the character. Of course, the panning has also a comic role. If you switch from one thing to the other, it is a dynamic camera movement. If you have faster pans, so it really adds some dynamism to your action. The next camera movement is the tilt. Here you have a vertical modification of the camera, below up above or from up above to below. Yes, it serves also as discovering new elements, presenting details, reactions, a scenery. Yes, it's like you were moving your head upwards or downwards. So panning and tilt are when the camera is on a tripod fixed. Further, I want to discuss with you the zoom. The zoom is an optical movement. Yes, we're used to zooming on mobile phones. Yes, we drag with the fingers and we zoom, but it's a rather unnatural movement because we cannot do this movement biologically. Yes, the zoom can be of two forms, zooming in and zoom out. Let's take a look at some examples. Yes, so the camera is again fixed and only the lenses, the optical lenses do this kind of movement. It's kind of old-fashioned too. I mean, current movies don't use this movement very often. In commercials, you can have a little zoom. You can come closer to the object, to the subject, faster. Yes, you can see here. We can also have examples of quick zooms that add again a more dynamic sense of the action. But my advice is to avoid, not to avoid, but not to rely so often on zooms. It's a rather unnatural, most of the time also disturbing movement. Let's look at the camera dolly. What is a dolly movement? It's when the camera isn't stationary, yes, and moves its station point thanks to a setup of metal rails on which there is a wheeled cart. So the movements are smooth, can be forward for setting the mood, yes, descriptive role, maybe during a dialogue scene, yes, coming closer to the characters, building up tension, showing the audience certain details on the expressions, on the words, on the facial expressions of the characters. Yes, it can also present important details. The dolly movement can also be backwards, yes, lowering the tensions of the scene, serving up as an ending. It can be lateral, yes, when the camera follows the character walking, running, during a dialogue scene. It can also be circular, yes, when the rails are placed in a circle, surrounding the characters while they talk, or presenting a product during a product placement scene. Yes, you can see the product from all angles. Let's take a look at some examples of the dolly movement. Push in. The push in movement, you come closer to the character, you see his reaction, you enter his state of mind. Maybe the character goes through a decision point. You want to show something to the viewer, draw the attention, yes? Or the opposite movement is the pull out. With the pull out, you go backwards, yes? It's like you were stepping one step behind from the action. From a detail, you go on a wider perspective and can see more details in the image. Yes, it's like lowering the tension. We can talk about tracking. This is when the camera moves. Tracking can be done on wheels or with the Steadicam. I will explain it a little bit later. It creates a smooth sense of following the character, going along with him, a descriptive role, presenting the scenery. It's dynamic. It's also transmitting the sense of a documentary. Yes, you go there, you don't cut, you don't stop the camera, you're there with the action, with the characters. Of course, the tracking can be done in all the directions, faster, slower. You should consider it in your videos. The Steadicam is when the camera operator wears specific equipment that stabilizes the movements. Yes, so you don't get a shaky movement, yes, a trembling one. You get a smooth camera movement that follows the actors, presents the characters while they walk. Yes, also in sports event, you can have a Steadicam movement of going backwards, where the character comes towards you, or the other way around. It's not so easy to operate the Steadicam, so you really have to practice and to be pretty robust. But it's really often used in all sorts of videos. I want to show you the arc movement, where the camera surrounds the character or the action. You have the impression that you can move around the characters. You present them from different angles. Yes, in a romantic scene, in a turning point scene, a scary scene where the character sees something, discovers something. It's surrounding the characters and creates a smooth movement. You really have the sense of time moving around them without disrupting the continuity. And there are a lot of examples in movies where directors use this procedure.
Im Ernst, was ist passiert?
Tja, ich habe mich, dummerweise muss ich eingestehen, im Bergsteigen versucht.
I want to show you a different movement. The boom movement is where you move the camera above. Yes, it can be on a crane, on a pedestal, and you present things. You lift yourself up or above, yes, and show to the audience different details. Again, you can follow the characters, you can follow the action, you can present a product from above. Here you can see the camera roll. Yes, it's also a movement where the audience, the viewer, has the impression that, oh, okay, it's spectacular. Something can be seen from all angles. It's really impressive most of the time. It also adds tension, suspense, increases dynamism in a sequence, serves as a statement. It's a powerful movement. Yes, the camera roll. Let's see the dolly zoom. We can dolly in and zoom out, for instance, yes, when the background seems to float. The background seems to go further away, and we're approaching the character, and the character, the product, the main thing in the image comes closer. The other way around is the dolly out and the zoom in. You come closer to the characters or to the product, and it also creates a really nice effect. But it's a powerful movement, so don't overuse it. Use it when you really want to point out something. There are also situations where you don't use a dolly, you don't use a tripod, you shoot with the camera in your hand. So this is the handheld camera, yes, compared to the smooth movement assured by the Steadicam and the traveling. Here the camera trembles. But this trembling is desired to express tension. It's desired to express the point of view of a character, to simulate the sense of a more documentaristic style, authentic, natural. In other situations, it can be really disturbing. Imagine yourself a close-up or extreme close-up trembling. Yes, let's take a look at some examples, yes, of random movement or handheld camera. Here the camera follows the action. You have the impression that you, as the viewer, are there in the middle of the action with the characters. You would move your eyes from there to there without a certain pattern. Yes, everything is random. Yes, but it's really authentic, it's really natural, a natural movement. But of course, again, it can be also disturbing. This is why we need to stabilize sometimes the image. This can be done in editing software. There are various plugins like Warp Stabilizer, where you can add this plugin to your footage, which was shot handheld, and you can add this stabilizer and it will smooth a little bit your image. Okay, sometimes this can cause artifacts. So try to think if you rather use the Steadicam or if you'd rather use this handheld camera, but be sure to use it professionally and not make the audience dizzy while watching your video. Another movement, camera movement, is the drone. Everyone uses drones nowadays because they're really spectacular. I mean, we don't get bored of drones. We can follow actions, we can present beautiful, impressive landscapes, we can use them in wedding videos, we can use them in commercials, in movies, in music videos, in all sorts of audiovisual products, because they're really, really impressive. Imagine yourself a beautiful scenery, a landscape, or characters, or in adventure, in extreme videos, yeah, sport videos. It's really handy to have a drone. They're not so expensive anymore. You can get a drone and play in the video editing software and create really, really impressive videos. So this is the topic about the camera movements. I hope you understood when to use them, how to use them, and that each and every one of them has a different purpose and transmits something different to the audience. So it's not a random decision, oh, let's do a panning, let's do a dolly. No, you should consider this when creating the shooting list. So all three elements, the camera movements, the shot sizes, and the camera angles are part of the cinematic language and need to be well thought while creating the shooting list that will help you have an awesome start of your production.